This is Tyler talking around your funny little mic in the middle of the table.
Don't you laugh at my little mic.
Little puffball.
Ladies love my little mic. Hello and welcome to the Central Nerdous System Podcast, where everything is nerdy. I'm John, and I'm joined here today by my good friend Tyler.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, and we are back again for episode 2 of our reboot. And
yes.
I'm pretty excited. Our first episode did fairly well. We're hoping that we can pick up the momentum, keep it going from here.
2 weeks consecutive. Two in
weeks.
a row.
2 weeks. No one has ever done the same thing 2 weeks in a row before now, and we have done it today.
We are the first.
We are the first to do two consecutive things.
We're going to be the trendsetters.
Mm-hmm. I think other podcasts may try to steal that momentum by doing more than 3. Maybe more than 4. Oh,
they might even go more than once a week.
That I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be crazy.
But today we have a special guest with us today. It is Sean Angel from Ontario, Canada. Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot, John. Really excited to be here.
Yep, Sean is a good friend of mine, and this is the first time we've actually met in person here in the States. So it's a huge honor. Thank you for coming down here, being an ambassador of goodwill from up north.
I'm sorry.
Glad to be here.
I'm sorry he had to be your first American. Just kidding.
So, three of us here today, we're going to talk about some topics today. And Tyler, I think you've got our first topic for today, so why don't we get right into it, get it started.
All right, so last week we talked about Rick and Morty.
Of course.
Obviously, the entire episode was all Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
It was fresh in our minds. But I'm going to talk about something that is kind of close to my heart, because I talked about last podcast that I own a board game cafe.
Exceptionally good one, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Essentially, the concept is we're in the golden age of board games. At least a lot of people that love board games, that's what they call it. It's kind of a revolution. A lot of new games coming out. It's becoming very popular again. And I was trying to pretty much explain how it is changing our society for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Putting our society, our generation in a different spot, making it a little more enjoyable. People are socializing again, and I just kind of wanted to get the ball rolling and talk about it. Just your experiences with getting back into board games and things like that. So.
Yeah, so I guess the first question is how we all feel about board game, maybe how we got into them, if we are into them.
Yeah.
How about we bring it to Sean first? Let's talk about your experience. Do you play a lot of board games?
Not as much as I probably would like to. Just busy with school a lot. But yeah, I got into board games as a kid, playing with parents and different family members. Really love playing games like Sorry, funnily enough. Canadian, Monopoly, that sort of thing.
That's a lie. No one enjoys playing Monopoly.
I enjoyed it if it's short. But it's not my go-to.
Yeah, but you hate everybody when you're done.
It's true. But you did mention that you did play Coup. That you do like Coup, which I respect a lot. That's obviously a part of the newer golden age of newer type of games and stuff like that. You did play Fun Employed, which is more of that like party style game, like Cards Against Humanity.
We had a lot of fun here in America. At the Wanna Play Board Game Cafe.
Yeah,
sorry to plug it again.
Yeah, no, go ahead, plug it.
Plug it
all
away.
You want. Yeah.
That would be in Utica, New York.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. On Ayert Street.
Right off the throughway.
Can't miss the sign.
We'll bring it to you, John. I mean, obviously, I've played hundreds of games. I just came back from the biggest board game convention, Gen Con, which had like 100,000 people just for board games. So,
and maybe we can talk a little bit more in detail about that. But here, I'll just get my quick experience with board games out of the way.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I like many kids. They play a lot of board games. Very close with my parents, so we played a lot of board games. We had tons of them upstairs.
Yeah.
But mostly they're more kid oriented. Like in terms of the board games that are really popular right now, which are all the like the more adult versions or the fantasy adventures of epic proportions with tons of little pieces and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get into those as a kid per se, and I wasn't really into it when I was like middle school, early high school. But then you started getting into them, and I'm like, I've always been the kind of guy who I wanted to play D&D or stuff like that, or stuff like that, but didn't have anyone to play with.
You need the people. You need the right amount of people, and just to really get involved with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so when you started getting all the board games and whatnot, that was a lot of fun because you were getting some of the cool stuff. and we had a group of friends of at least like 4 or 5 that would come over all the time and play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was always a lot of fun playing those type of games. Like, Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep was one of the top ones.
That is still actually probably one of my favorites.
Betrayal at the House on the Hill is a pretty great one as well.
Yep.
When we were playing that. Yeah, it's a shame when you were around here, we could have... I wish we were able to get more of a selection of board games in. Because they've got some pretty good ones over there. Like, have you ever played Betrayal at the House on the Hill?
I can't say that I have.
It's a really fun one. So, the idea is that you you have all these rooms pieces, and you go through like this haunted mansion thing as a party, like a group of people, and you search for stuff until like the spook rating. I forget the actual term.
Pretty much the haunt.
The spoopiness gets to max tier, and then an event happens where one of them like either one of the events happens, and sometimes like a party member will betray you, and it'll end up being like 3 against 1.
The cool part about that game is that there's 2 books. So essentially, depending on the room and the item that caused it, it will put it to a certain number. There's 50 different scenarios in the book. And the person that becomes the traitor gets his own book, walks away. He reads exactly what his goal has to do, and everyone else that's in the game is then going against that one traitor. And they both have different goals in mind, and that's the cool part about that kind of game.
Plus, it's pretty spoopy. We should play a version of that.
I should play it. Yeah.
We should play it because Halloween's coming up.
Oh, yeah,
that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, definitely. No, we're going to have to play it. Especially like Mysterium. I kind of want to try Mysterium again.
But to finish up with my thing, the big thing that I like, though, I'm a huge fan of improv and playing improv-style games.
Yeah.
So I love, like, Snake Oil. Fun Employed is my jam. Loved it. I get into that every time. I like any games where you have to think on your toes, get on the fly, and come up with something funny.
Yeah.
So that always gets me going with gameplay stuff. Also, I like like Cards Against Humanity and stuff like that.
We know you do.
The fun
It's
one.
your number 1 record. Whenever we get in a party, we put all the games in a stack. He puts Cards Against Humanity right at the top. It's like, that's what I want. Right there. You got all these great, colorful games, and then you got a little box of cards. That's all you want.
It's a good game. I mean, honestly, though, Fun Employed has surpassed it for me because you can get a lot. You can get a lot out of it.
Oh yeah, I felt that the Snake Oil and Fun Employed, that kind of stuff is a lot better than Cards Against Humanity. I've played it I've played cards so many times that the combinations get old, and it's kind of predictable, and it's still funny. You'll still laugh, but it's like eh.
However, online Cards Against Humanity I like a lot better because you can import your own decks.
Yeah, no, you get a little more variety in there. You can pick and choose.
Because Sean, we've played it online before with some of the people in one of the Discords we're in, and they get pretty wild.
Oh, they sure do.
I've had to pull back a couple times because I've just been like, what you doing, guy?
Yeah, it's a little much. It gets a little much sometimes.
A little dicey.
Mm-hmm. But I like it. Sometimes the more absurd, the better. It's kind of like a safe zone to be as horrible as you can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like about it, is because everyone that plays the game for the most part, I'm assuming are mostly good people in real life.
Yeah.
They're not awful. They're not being racist or homophobic or anything. But it's just like at times it's just like loosen the collars. You just go all out, and you.
It's amazing to me when even if you put like the most delicate family together, like they could be the nicest people. Put them in that game, and you see the worst sides of everyone.
It's
like my 94-year-old grandmother played Cards Against Humanity, right? She was baffled, but yet loved it at the same time. She'd read every card. Oh! And then she'd laugh and put it down because, why not?
For me, for the past couple of years, Cards Against Humanity has been a Christmas tradition.
Yeah, you were telling me
at my house.
Yeah.
And my family is fairly tame. You've met my mom, both of you.
Yes.
The first time she played Cards Against Humanity, she won. She had the raunchiest best combinations.
Hey, listen.
And she's like a sweet lady.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess I'll play the Dick Tickler. All right.
You always gotta. If you ever get the Dick Tickler as a card, you always gotta play it. It works for any scenario.
I don't think that's a card.
You could add your own though. You can add your own. They have blank cards.
Very, very true. So you obviously love Cards Against Humanity. You kind of never really dove into it, based off what I've seen, as far as the new generation goes.
Yeah, not so much. I I was involved in a board game club during middle school at my school, so
Okay.
I got to learn about some of like the more higher level sort of games.
Yeah.
there.
Which we have
More
that.
RPG based, I'm assuming.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When like pretty much before, I mean, I own a board game cafe, and it's funny. When I was a kid, I hated board games, which people are amazed by because usually when you're a kid, your family plays board games. You play Monopoly, sorry, like you said before, and they all love it. I never liked it. I was video games. That's all I ever wanted to do. And then my buddy Sean, which is my business partner, brought this game called Lords of Waterdeep, and essentially it was it was the first time that I was able to challenge myself intellectually in a board game, where a lot of them are luck based, and it's just like, I rolled it, okay, yay, and I think that's why I never liked it. Where this one, I actually got to think, use strategy, and I think that's why I fell in love with it. It's still my favorite game.
There's a lot of troop management for that game.
Yeah.
And resource building, so it's a lot of fun.
Resource gathering games are one of my favorites. But the main point of this topic is the fact that in the last 10 years or so, board games have gone up 600% sales, everything. There's new games coming out every year. It's becoming bigger and bigger. Yes, it's always been popular as far as in a small niche, as far as like D&D, things like that. But now it's becoming more of a household thing again. And like if you go to Walmart or Target, their board game selection's growing again. There's a lot more vibrant colors and just a bunch of different titles, which is exciting. I mean, you're talking to someone right now that literally you wouldn't have thought would have gotten in deep because I became a bro gamer for a while where I played COD and all that stuff. That's all I did for about a good 2 years, and that's why when I say that I think that board games are kind of changing society in our generation a bit, because we as a group, John, we never hung out too much. We'd hang out a little bit, do our videos, but the older we got, we kind of became more distant.
Around high school, we got kind of like video game more oriented.
Yeah.
We started doing Let's Play stuff. So
we started doing everything online, and I think
Minecraft was a big thing at that point for us.
And I think as soon as when I got into board games, I started bringing them. I said, "Hey guys, let's meet everyone together at my house. Let's all have a good time. Let's have Sunday fun day, Sunday game day." And I think that was the greatest thing that's ever happened to us as friends. It's because it brought everyone in the same room, had a good time. And I feel like that's what it's kind of doing to our generation as a whole, because seeing how we're all stuck into our phones and we're all stuck online a lot of the times, and it's just nice to see more people getting together. And that's the whole point behind my cafe anyways.
And I feel one of the factors that maybe kind of resulted in us kind of separating is video games at the time stopped doing local multiplayer.
Yes.
For a spell. There was a time where they were like, well, who wants to play video games with another person? Obviously, the Xbox Live format of just playing against people online, ranked modes and whatnot, that's what they want. So why build a local multiplayer?
Well, it's not worth their time.
So for a while, games weren't having that. So if say he wanted to play, like, I don't know, I think Halo kept local multiplayer, but I'm just gonna use that as a name for just to say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Say like Halo, Bleach.
Halo Bleach,
the knockoff Halo.
It's instead of a green Master Chief, he's just pure blonde.
He's
whitewashed.
Yeah, he's just washed out.
He's Sean. He's just Sean.
Oh my god. He's got blonde hair, blue eyes. It's great.
White as snow. But so Halo Bleach. You say you get the game, and then I go, I want to play Halo Bleach with you. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't have local co-op, so you'd have to either watch me play it,
or go spend another $60 and go play it with me.
Buy it and then play it with you. And then that's what I would do if we wanted to play the game and it was fun, is that we just play it online.
Yeah.
And then talk via either Xbox Live or Skype.
Yeah.
I think that really brought forward the possibility of like Skype and Discord rising in popularity.
That's completely right.
Amongst gamers in particular, is just the whole lack of local multiplayer.
Yeah, so then people needed to find another way to communicate a little better. I mean, we played Minecraft continuously. That's what we used to do. And that if it wasn't for Skype, we wouldn't have been... I don't think our servers wouldn't have grown so fast.
Yeah. Because I don't know what we would have used. We would have, called each other on the phone or something.
Well, yeah. It's a funny part. This is an interesting kind of topic to go off of this, is that games in general, obviously we're all gamers in our own way here. A lot of people still kind of roll their eyes at video games. Like, the older you get, they're like, oh, it's such a kid thing to do, playing video games, stuff like that, which I find stupid. Because, like when I have people say, well, why do you want to play board games? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, don't you want to, like, socialize? Well, you're doing both. Because nowadays, you're so connected. So, like, if you go to a family event, right, most people already know what someone's already done because of Facebook and everything like that. So the conversations won't run dry very fast because you already know everything about this person. You already know, oh, they went to, like, I went to Vermont. I'm going to post a picture. If I didn't see John for a week, he'd already know I went to Vermont. What is it? I might talk about it for a little bit, but...
That's why I don't talk to you until I see you in person.
Which is about it. But then people want something to challenge themselves and have a good time. And I think that's that's why games have been around since, BC era. It's been around for thousands of years.
And, I am happy with the way the games have brought us all together and whatnot. And plus, it's resulted in a lot of creative new ideas for games. Because if you thought about games in the past, what did you think for like a board game? Like, oh, you gotta make a kid's game, or like, oh, you gotta go around the board or something.
You literally just roll a die and you go.
Make it simple, easy to follow.
Yep.
And then, like, all the the complicated stuff, like Dungeons and Dragons, was deemed witchcraft at one point. So
yes, it was.
So at that point, didn't allow for much growth in gaming, since literally there was moral outrage.
Listen, once 1985 hit, and video games became a thing, like, very popular, that's when board games obviously died off. And I feel like now board games are becoming just as popular as video games again. And it's impressive the climb in the nostalgia. I think it's a nostalgia factor, really, for a lot of people getting back into it.
You really don't see that sort of retransition back into popularity for a lot of things, though.
Usually it's trendy and it lasts for a little while, where this has just become this is another era. That's why they say it's the golden age of board games. So it's...
And plus, board games, if you think about it, the way our society's been kind of lately, it's been all about technological advances.
Yes.
So obviously the system of progression would be, okay, so you had a board game you could play on in person with actual, you have to build a board and pieces and whatnot. Then the Magnavox Odyssey came in, which was a board game on your TV. Yeah. Essentially.
Yep.
And it just went up from there. So now we got video games, and then it's going to go further with like VR and whatnot. I don't know what will be next. It'll just be like sensors hooked up to your blood that make you feel each individual course of your player character's veins.
Don't get me excited, man.
Don't get me... But board games, theoretically, technologically unadvanced medium has actually kind of gotten back into the spotlight.
I just like being able to hold a piece. I like the idea of having it in my hands and just seeing it, unfold right in front of me, type of thing. Especially because the quality of games, the art, story, lore behind board games is so much more interesting. Like, I got a game when I went to Gen Con. I got a game called Century, which takes a simple game mechanic, and then there's just beautiful art behind it, and it's really, really awesome and really nice. I can go on for a long time, but it's just what I live and breathe.
So I guess like a good question to continue this would be, now that board games are popular, they're getting close. What do you see for the future of board games? Do you think this momentum's going to continue? Do you think we're going to get some oversaturation? Or do you think something else is going to topple it as a fun field?
Realistically, board games will always be nostalgic, and they will never die in its own right. Because in my eyes, I buy a board game, it's in a box. As long as I keep that box intact, I have that for the rest of my life. Video game becomes obsolete in its own way, whereas like you might not have that certain TV that'll work anymore with it. It barely works. The quality of it becomes crappier as it ages. Even though you still play NES, it's still fantastic, type of thing. But I feel like technology in that right will age differently. When board games, it just has this nostalgic factor where you break out an old copy of Trouble, it's got a different feeling to it.
With the
even
dice
if
popping
it's got
technology.
some dust on it, you brush it off and you play it. That's the whole fun part about it. And yeah, we're in this golden age, like I said. I feel that it'll kind of go for another couple years. I don't see it growing any bigger. I just think it's just going to be a steady rate. I just think it's going to be a good alternative and have more options for people. I don't think it will drop off as hard as it did before, if that's what you really want to know. I don't think it's ever going to drop off as badly because now it's competing with video games and stuff like that, and I don't think anything can really top it right now, at least from what I've seen.
I think the only two things I can think of offhand that might hurt board games as it goes along are, one, oversaturation, because I feel because they're so popular, everyone and their grandmother has a board game now. And for every good board game, there's a couple bad ones that get released. And eventually, there's going to be so many board games on the market. I'm not sure if it might be something like for some reason, I foresee in my cynicism here, kind of like a Marvel universe scenario where they just have so many things released that it just becomes overwhelming.
That's the funny part is that I thought the same thing because I was playing so many games and I started seeing the trends continue and some mechanics. Same in video games. Mechanics in video games have become so cookie cutter that they're kind of the same. They just put a whole new skin on it and it's the same game. Where I thought board games were heading the same route. But when I went to Gen Con in Indianapolis and you go to the demo hall and you get to see all the creators of these games, and they're all either smaller companies and all this stuff, but you get to meet the developers on hand. And then you get to see this, it's a whole different it's a unique factor. So like in video games, if you go and it's the difference between seeing the creator of a AAA title versus an indie game.
Yeah.
You go and see the creator of the indie game, you got more variety. Even if it's got the same mechanics as any of the AAA games, it's got a different charm to it, and you get to talk to them up front, and you get to see more of the passion behind the project, and I feel like that would be the big... That's why indie games have become so popular. Because people, in any form of gaming, it's just because people enjoy the passion behind smaller projects. And I think that's what I really felt in the same with board games when I went to Gen Con. Because I would talk to the developer on hand, one-on-one. He'd tell me, oh, this is why I did this. This is great. I love this. And then you see the uniqueness, the difference between this game and that game. Just based off what he said, So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see board games rising to a peak. I think it's approaching that peak.
Yes.
But I think it's going to stay there for a while. I can't see it dropping off just with age, because like you said earlier, board games really transcend a single point in time. They transcend a culture.
Yeah.
And so I could see them staying fairly popular for a long time.
Oh yeah.
In the future.
I agree with that notion. The other thing I think could challenge board games is VR in the future, because VR, it's not there yet because it's still fairly new, but I think maybe if you wait another 10 years, if VR is still being worked on, still gaining traction, and maybe even becomes a cultural force, that could rival it. Because think of what you could do with a game space with virtual reality.
It's funny. You say 10 years. I think it's going to be much shorter than that.
I'm saying 10 years because, like...
Just to establish the body of it and everything?
Well, because... sometimes when you make bold future claims, it's hard to make an exact pinpoint timeline of when VR is going to be big. I'm going to say that many years because think of motion controls at the current moment. Motion controls started with the Wii, which came out mid 2000s.
Yeah, but they already died. No one likes motion controls now.
So about 10 years is what I would say, because because the Wii didn't really work. I mean, it worked decently well at times.
The Wii was... we get off track here.
It's not perfect.
The Wii was fine for what it was. Once you got used to it, you still can enjoy the game just as well as anything else.
The Kinect bombed.
Oh, God.
I
don't want to talk about the Kinect or anything.
But the way I see it with motion controls, because think about it, that they had motion controls being worked on. So they obviously started probably early 2000s getting working on the technology. And now we have the Switch, which is technically kind of like a tactile control. It can be used as a tactile control in a sense.
But it's not needed.
It's not quite there for that. But so we're seeing how motion controls has evolved. That was about 10 years, I want to say.
True.
Probably more. but
to where I found it's more its usefulness, because before they were trying to design it as the main focal point to the systems. Now they're just utilizing that technology for features and smaller things that add to the quality of it.
So I think VR, which I think has been kind of bumping around for a couple years already, it still hasn't quite found that exact peak yet. Like where it'd be like for me, I'm not interested in VR at the moment because I don't feel there's enough application yet. At least for me as a gamer, I prefer a good game over being able to see it in like 3D like that.
Yeah.
So I'm fine playing like a 2D pixel game more than I would want to play a like Job Simulator. Sure. Even though I like Job Simulator.
You could do Rick and Morty VR.
Well, here's the thing. I like Rick and Morty VR Adventure is funny and great, but like as a game, I'd rather play like Death Road to Canada, which is a pixel art game with sorry, I said the C word here in front of you just to get you Canada. But I'd rather play Death Road to Canada, which is pixel art, not necessarily the greatest graphics of all time.
Well, here I'm gonna ask
but
you,
more fun.
I'm gonna ask both of you a question. Have you used VR before, like the newer headsets?
Never.
I've not.
Okay, so I have.
Mm-hmm.
I did a demo. I obviously don't have the money right now to buy. I would buy one in a heartbeat. Because I'm too hesitant. It's one of those things where that's why one of the things I wanted to talk about was that whenever it becomes household, like you said, 10 years when it becomes popular.
Yeah.
I was hesitant at first because it's just, you don't know if it's gonna bomb like everything else. Like you don't know if it's gonna bomb like motion controls really did.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend my money into something that then they stop putting games on and they stop playing with.
Mm-hmm.
But when I demoed it, I demoed the PlayStation's VR at Best Buy one of these times, and they had like a little booth set up, and it was amazing because they had you get the headset and everything set up on you. Couldn't hear a damn thing around me. So I was just my brother next to me when I first started the demo, and it put me in this spacecraft thing. So I was doing like just a normal like space shooter, whatever. You saw the entire cockpit of your craft, and it was just really impressive just getting immersed, and I was automatically immersed in it. And I get motion sick very easily, and the VR was not a good choice for a person that gets motion sick. But because it was amazing, because as you're going and controlling the ship, you can still look around like if you were in the ship.
Yeah.
Because usually when you play a video game, it's fixed, so it's like you see out the window, you can't really look and do 3 things at once. It's more dimensions when you're actually manning the thing. But when I took everything off, there was a crowd of people around me. I had no idea there was people watching me play because I was so into it. So like it is the real deal. Once they get that quality down on the games and make the games worth playing and worth purchasing, it's gonna take over. Because if I was immersed just inside a Best Buy, just imagine me immersed in my room where no one's around. I'm going to get completely lost in whatever universe they put me in. Mm-hmm. And this was just a simple space shooter. Like, there was no story. I just was shooting things, and I was just like, okay.
And you just love those YouTube videos of him where they're just fumbling around their room.
True.
With their VR headset.
It does look freaking ridiculous.
Markiplier just crawling around like, ah!
Yeah. Ah! The motion ones, I think I liked the one I had because it was controller and vision based, not so much moving your body.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I don't think it's going to get popular with the motion because it's going to be too hard with a lot of houses. Yeah. But I think just the headsets itself getting you immersed, because you see people with the stupid phone ones that you can put on the phone goggles, which are super popular now. I don't think it's going to get any further than that. As far as for the household,
the only way I see it getting further is if like they develop like some sort of like moving floor pad where you can kind of walk around on it and like it just kind of moves with it. But that's going to be like an expensive thing. Yeah, they're not going to get the technology cheap enough for that to make it for many years. I don't believe.
No, it's going to take a while. I mean, they have it. It's literally the hardest part is getting developers to design quality games with the system and the software and everything else.
They're so complicated, a lot of parameters that go with there.
Yeah, you need a whole other system of things in order to make it good. Because these companies that can make good games for the VR line is the fact they're hesitant because it's so hard and awkward to design a good game around it.
Yeah.
That they don't want to ruin the brand of whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, whoever takes that big step is probably going to be the big front runner to VR, but no one has yet to taken that step. So. Yeah,
I do agree though. I think the optimal setup will be VR headset controller.
That's it. No, I was fully immersed that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can imagine racing games in general. I mean, you two are big into the racing games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That alone will be amazing.
That would be pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
Now I can suck in 3 dimensions of racing game.
As soon as I see the application available for a high quality racing game, I'll go for it. As far as VR, as long as I have the money at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you that I don't think motion is gonna catch on because it's gonna have the same downfalls as the Kinect or the Wii.
It's best way I could put it is I'm trying to think of the word of something that's like a mediocre type thing. It's like a kind of gift that you give someone that's like a novelty.
Novelty.
I feel like it's more of a this will be fun for one thing and that's it. You can have fun one time with it, but you're not gonna have. It's not the replay value of it isn't there. It's fun, if you did it, then you have your friend do it, and their friend can do it, but then it just becomes you watching them be stupid idiots, blind, like them going around on the floor like they do everywhere else.
And I watch them be stupid idiots all the time anyways, without the headset.
I mean, I'd pay small amounts of money to do that, but
yeah.
Not several hundred or even $1,000 or more dollars.
Just have your friend get drunk and then watch them.
You know what's cool though?
Because they're not going to be blacked out anyway.
I think there'll be more businesses actually that'll go over with it because I saw a cool video of a laser tag where everyone had VR. So essentially, you're just in this open warehouse, but you think you're in this whole a normal shooter map. And everyone else is immersed in the same place. So I thought that's a cool potential of things. Because they're all moving around and everything with the motion sense. So that's kind of a cool path to take.
I can't wait for a VR fidget spinner. VR fidget spinner, I think, is going to really take off. Because, those dang fidget spinners, they just don't cost enough. I got to buy a $700 headset so I could flick my fidget spinner all the ding-dong day. And without anyone judging me, because they won't see a fidget spinner, they'll just see me doing this with my hand.
Oh my god.
But John, you can do so many cool tricks. Have you seen Jack's films?
Yo. Hold on. Just imagine, you're not limited by the mortal plane anymore with VR. Think of all the sick VR fidget spinner tricks you can do. You will be a god, I tell you. A god.
Oh my god. I tried playing with a fidget spinner for 5 minutes. And I was bored. I'm like, woo! Alright! Cool.
It also didn't help that we were at a theme park when we tried the fidget spinner, which is significantly less fun than the theme park.
Is that where we had them?
It was when we went to Darien Lake, because Adam and ZD both bought fidget spinners the night before.
Oh, that's right.
And brought them on the trip.
Oh, wait. They roll up to my house with 2 fidget spinners and a watermelon. No, out of context. Why did you come to my house with a watermelon?
And he said, wait an hour before coming over.
Yes, for certain reasons we don't need to talk about.
And then they decided in that hour to go to Walmart, buy 2 fidget spinners and a watermelon.
Which they didn't bring on the trip. They didn't bring the watermelon on the trip.
Well, you know why? Because Vidi was going to bring. He said, I'll bring the watermelon. I can cut it in the car. And we're just like, that just seems like a bad idea. Vidi with knife in car.
Oh my god.
I can see bad things happening if we hit a bump or something.
This is how you get out of the car and you look like O.J. Simpson.
Oh yeah, no, he just cuts the watermelon in half, just all over the...
Because the worst that could happen with the fidget spinner is that he just looks stupid.
Yeah, that's about it.
Someone might see him. That's the worst thing that could happen.
I can imagine if he's spinning it, it flies off his finger, runs into my eye, we drive up the side of the road, off a cliff. Falls down, and then at the end of it, he's still spinning his fidget spinner.
3 teens killed in tragic fidget spinner accident.
Start developing fidget spinner cars. It's gonna be the new thing, man.
So
So that was fun.
Yeah,
We diverged from board games to VR to fidget spinners.
Mm-hmm. We truly have accomplished a lot today.
We did. So you did have a topic to bring to the table today.
I did have a topic to bring in. It's kind of related to what we were talking about last week. So last week we did an entire episode on Rick and Morty because I like Rick and Morty. Ty likes Rick and Morty. John, do you like Rick and Morty, or do you not watch it?
I haven't watched it.
Haven't watched it? I highly recommend it. It's a very good show.
It is a good show.
So we were talking about Rick and Morty, and we alluded to the amount of backlash that Rick and Morty has been getting a lot lately on the web.
You know what's funny is that you brought it up, and I kind of just nodded and agreed about the backlash. But I actually haven't heard about the backlash and what's going on.
Really?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard much about it.
Have you heard anything in between in the past week?
No. Unless it's talking about the Szechuan sauce, but...
Well, no, it's not about Szechuan. Here's the thing, because we mentioned last week we were hoping to get Szechuan sauce for this podcast. Unfortunately, it's not near us. The nearest place I had was like, what, a good solid hour away?
You know what? We talked about it, and then we got disappointed. I think next week, or one of these weeks, I will try and make my own Szechuan sauce.
Ooh.
Yes, and I'll bring that in. We'll go buy some chicken nuggets, and we will still enjoy some Szechuan sauce.
Gosh darn it, we're going to do it. But anyway, so Rick and Morty has gotten a lot of backlash lately. They said they hate the fandom. The fandom is awful, that they've been doing bad things. And to a point, some of that is true. A notable example, Dan Harmon called out a lot of fans who were trying to harass a female writer on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Which is an awful move.
I know it is.
And you know, that's the rough part of a fandom. But I wanted to bring this up because we've seen this cycle before with fandoms. A lot of different fandoms have gotten bad PR, bad press because of it. So the question I have for you guys is, when does a fandom become cancerous? You know, at what point does a fandom, take it over the deep end and start going too far? When you go from just liking a show to pushing it too far? And I guess what I want to say in that is also I lost my train of thought.
You lost your train of thought? All right.
We'll just continue.
I'll pick up where
I was going to say something and I've just blanked. It's been a long day.
I think a good place to start with this topic is a good idea is that I'm a big person on theories and shows and and stuff like that. I like when shows try and fulfill theories. I talked about it last week with Rick and Morty, where there's a lot of theories, and I was hoping that they would fulfill them in the season finale. Obviously, we got the craziest episode that had nothing to do with the plot. But a good show to actually talk about is Game of Thrones. I know you haven't really watched it. I don't know what you've watched. You haven't watched it either.
Well, I can follow along with what you're going with here.
Essentially, Game of Thrones is one of the biggest shows on television.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good word to start. So it's obviously going to have a lot of fandom. It's going to have a lot of theories. It's going to have a lot of people, fan fiction, things like that. Whole different breed, especially with how crazy Game of Thrones is. I don't tend to get so obsessed with the show that I get into the fandom as much, where I start obsessing and things like that. So I don't understand it from firsthand. I feel that when, like you said, they're harassing one of the writers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a true sign that these people... I don't think the show as a whole is cancerous. I think it's just the people. The certain type of people. I wouldn't put a target on the back of the entire fandom community as a whole. And that's the hard part. It's just certain people get so obsessive with things that it ruins it for everyone else.
It's the vocal minority.
Yeah.
It always seems to be that. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about culture, politics, anything.
And it's interesting, if you look at it in the case of Rick and Morty, I find it's unfortunate for a lot of people who, who didn't get into the show because of the fandom. The fandom for Rick and Morty is kind of a stereotype to be the Redditor, neckbeard, kind of like just the misogynist. They think they're really intelligent, but they're really not, and they empathize with Rick, saying oh, he's just like me. Everyone else is stupid except me. So that first hurdle, which I think was kind of popularized by the copy pasta of you have to have a certain degree of intelligence to enjoy Rick and Morty, and if you don't have a grasp on quantum physics, a lot of the jokes will go over your head.
Oh my god.
That was obviously a joke.
Yeah.
But a lot of people took that as, like, the fans being awful. Though I'm assuming, I mean, I'm not a huge Reddit person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really go on it that much, but I'm assuming there is people like this in the Rick and Morty community. The one thing for me is that I personally have, like, not dealt with any Rick and Morty fans that are, like, that cringeworthy or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're not joining, Facebook groups.
I am in Rick and Morty Swift posting, but honestly, that's just kind of fun. That doesn't get awful. They just kind of it's just shit posting. I guess it's
well, the good question
fun.
to start here is that what each of us, what is the show that you would consider that you are the closest attached to into fandom, or like you love that much that you would be into that kind of community?
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll start here. So in terms of television, the two shows I'm into the most are The Simpsons and Gravity Falls. Now, The Simpsons as a fandom really got its stride in the 90s. That was way before me.
Yeah.
I was still a baby child at that time, so like I wasn't on like the 90s forum boards and doing all this stuff like that. I hear over there though, I mean like I didn't hear too many horror stories from the forum boards. I mean, that's early internet stuff, so maybe it didn't like cross over to now. But I can't think of anything offhand that was like really bad about the Simpsons fandom at the time. The only bad thing I hear about the fandom now is that there's kind of like a running joke that most Simpsons like fan artists are awful at art.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Simpsons fan art is just god awful.
Yeah.
And I have seen some of the worst Simpsons fan art on DeviantArt. It's some of them are just so bad it's hard to comprehend.
Well, you can dive into Rule 34 if you wanted to.
This is not even the Rule 34.
Yeah.
This is just non-Rule 34.
Oh,
just
God.
some of the worst art I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I hate to say, I mean, keep trying, kids, but
it's amazing to me. Like, I know you love I know you're talking about Simpsons, but I know you love Gravity Falls.
yes, I was.
But it's such a short show,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that alone is. I think that's why the fandom's so great. Like as far as it's so wide because people can create whatever they want. Or the potential of everything. Like, they create more of the story in their own right.
Well, the great thing about Gravity Falls is the same reason you liked Rick and Morty and whatnot is the potential for theories.
Yes.
Because that's what the show is built on. It's built on mystery and theories and, like, people were, like, trying to solve, like, all the episodes have, like, little, like, hidden, like, cryptograms that you have to try and decode using various decoding methods.
Yeah.
So people after the show, as soon as the show would air, they would go online, they would try and figure out what the code means, and there would be like a word, and they're like, what does this mean? How does this apply to the future? There'll be like a sentence that foreshadows something, and they're like, oh boy, I think this is going to be this. So I found that part of the fandom very fun. Unfortunately for me, I got into Gravity Falls about midway through its run. Like, I got into it just before the second season started.
Yeah.
Which is a halfway point. There's only 2 seasons. So I missed a lot of that early theorizing and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That was all kind of solved at that point. It was just all the season 2 stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought for the most part the Gravity Falls fandom was very good. Like I can't think of any like big incidents that they've had or any sketchy things. The 2 worst things about the fandom in my opinion, Pinecest did not like it.
Pinecest?
Yeah, they shipped Dipper and Mabel. The two twins.
Oh no!
Didn't care for that. Especially like ignoring the incest thing. Just you have finally a really well written brother sister duo.
Yeah.
It's the first time in a while there's been a brother sister duo that doesn't fight all the time.
True.
And then they had to go and put a romantic spin on these people.
I don't know.
Maybe you guys aren't bad people out there who ship it, but it's just not. I don't like it.
If it makes them happy, whatever.
The other was the infamous Dipper Goes to Taco Bell.
Dipper Goes to Taco Bell. Okay.
A little too graphic for this podcast. Let's just say it was like
well, yeah, you don't need to say it anymore. We're good.
I'm just going to say that I'm assuming it was written solely to shock. However, I don't think it was just like a legitimate attempt of like storytelling, just meant to ruin everyone's day. So I mean, like other than that, I can't think of offhand too many incidents. I believe everyone really respected all the writers. Yeah, there's a lot of good community backing. They literally had a treasure hunt at the end of the series. that Alex Hirsch, the creator, put together, and people all over the world were working together to try and solve.
That's crazy.
And then they did in 3 days.
That's amazing.
So, I'm happy with the Gravity Falls fandom. That's pretty good. The only other fandom I'm really a part of is because of my fan comic that I write, Dank Midori. I'm a part of the Yandere Simulator fandom,
yeah.
which is kind of funny because I don't really watch much anime, but I'm in the fandom for this anime game.
That you don't even, yeah.
Yeah, which I... So, I mean, it's a good game. I really like the concept of it. It just seems like I like games that try and do a lot of different options in storytelling.
Yeah.
You could do the murder in countless ways throughout the week in various scenarios. But that fandom, I guess, is pretty alright. The only thing is that a lot of them are very young. So they're just kind of like loud and annoying, do all like that cringy DeviantArt stuff that you see from other fandoms from that. But I wouldn't say it's like necessarily a bad fandom.
True.
They're just overly loyal to the dev. Like I don't even read the comment sections of videos because it's just like overpraise of the dev. Like he's a god. Like dev's good. I have nothing wrong with the dev. It's just like they're just like Yandere dev is the messiah. Everything he says is law. Take that, Twitch. We will take you down for banning the game from streaming. It's just kind of like, it's kind of cute.
You know, it's crazy to me that people get that obsessed over one thing like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, you got anything else better to do? I mean, come on. There's so much other stuff that's good. To expand your palette with your stories and shows and games and oh my god, especially for something so small like that too.
But I mean, I'm surprised at how big that's grown, and it's so popular for a game that's not even released yet. It's not even done, not even close to being done.
Oh, Jesus!
It's been in development for a couple
early
years.
Access, I'm assuming.
It's currently a free playable demo.
Oh, okay.
And then as soon as he gets it to a point where he has all the features he plans on implemented, he wants to do a Kickstarter. He's already teamed up with another studio, those same guys that do that did Hello Neighbor and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then they'll try and make a final game, which I don't think will come out anytime soon, but we can dream. Eventually, it'll come out.
So Sean, what would you say is your favorite thing that you are obsessed with? I mean, even if you don't obsess with anything, that you say is the closest to obsession.
Okay, well, as far as TV shows, I don't really watch a whole lot.
That's fine, even if it's a
Narcos and The Grand Tour are kind of my big two shows. Narcos, okay. I don't know anything about the fandom at all.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Narcos have a fandom?
Do they?
I don't know.
Like, is there a thing to be like? It's history for the most part, right?
Yeah, I'm never sure about shows that are like live action. How many certain shows like all the like shows on like basic cable that are like those like dramas. Like how many? Is there like a fandom for those or?
Oh yeah, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. Like the ones where like it's like U.S. soldiers trying to free like some lady from terrorists. Like, is there a fandom for that show, or is that just something people watch?
Maybe
just absorb it and then go on with their day.
I think anything that gets spread onto the internet then gets the fandom.
By definition.
Yeah.
But the Grand Tour, I know that some of its fandom members can be fairly hesitant to kind of anything new. So some background on the Grand Tour. The Grand Tour,
I don't know anything about the Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour is hosted by Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond. Oh. These three hosted Top Gear before this.
Oh, okay.
Then Jeremy Clarkson famously had a falling out with the director of Top Gear. He was already kind of on probation due to some other incidents involving...
Yeah, he's a
wily
little
character.
Vulgar, and he's done some things that he shouldn't have said. And I remember my buddy Matt that you met. He's talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's a big Top Gear fan.
Yeah,
I've watched a little bit of Top Gear.
Mm-hmm. He was already on probation, kind of like with the BBC, and then he slapped like the director or something for some minor detail, and
he slapped him.
Yeah, something regarding like food.
Where's my sandwich?
No, I think it was literally that small.
Oh my god.
But Jeremy Clarkson ended up getting fired for that. Richard Hammond and James May refused to continue along with the show without Jeremy Clarkson being rehired, and so they ended up leaving as well. Now, Amazon started a new series called The Grand Tour to kind of continue the adventurous exploits of these three and cars. And a lot of people like comparing the Grand Tour and its new seasons. They always compare it negatively compared to what they consider to be the golden era of Top Gear, whatever that may be. It varies amongst a lot of people. Like, a lot of people might say that the Grand Tour has lost any seriousness that it had as a car show. Well, really, most of the seasons of Top Gear, it was all just goofing around anyways.
Yeah.
Like, nothing really has changed in that regard in the writing style and the production. The production is just as high quality as it was. Great cinematography and everything like that. I guess a lot of people complain about the lack of very specific things that only BBC could have provided, right? Like they're no longer allowed to, for instance, have celebrities onto the show because that's kind of a copyrighted segment of the BBC.
All right.
And so they make a running joke about it in the show itself by inviting celebrities and then having them
they couldn't make
them
it
die. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like someone would be arriving on a boat and then they'd fall off into the lake and drown and that'd be it.
Oh well.
And then
there goes Oprah.
Yeah.
Nope, she's dead.
Oh no, not Oprah. She's so successful.
Third time this week.
You know, it's funny. You brought up a good point though, where the fact that with the fans comparing good episodes from Top Gear versus the Grand Tour, and I feel like that's a toxic element in any show. Mm-hmm. When say something's rebooted or a new season comes out, they're always comparing. And the worst people come out in those debates. Like, even when you compare a movie to a book, you get the worst people saying, "Oh, well, the book's better. The book did this, and this," and then you get there are people getting huge fights, and I think that's a big toxic element in all of media for sure. And then like even if it's funny, like Matt was talking about like a reboot of Full House with Fuller House.
Yeah.
Like even the people that love Full House watch Fuller House, they're like, this is awful. But then if you really think about it, it's the same.
It's about the same
sitcom type of show, family, or it's really the same thing.
Or you can be like my mom, who liked the original Full House and liked Fuller House, though Fuller House she doesn't like as much.
See, I wish everyone was like that. Like, you can appreciate that they're trying. Like, okay, you said the Grand Tour, the cinematography's there, everything is there.
Yeah, they have new elements, new segments. Yeah. Like, they're doing their own thing. And it's nearly just as good, if not just as good.
I think that's a good element. I think that's the biggest thing I hate about the video game fandom. Mm-hmm. Like I've just started playing, I've been playing Destiny 2 a lot. Yeah. The first Destiny was a big letdown. For a lot of people. Even though it was still a decent game, it was still a big letdown. Then you got people playing Destiny 2 and they still try and compare it and they say, it bums the mood out of anything you're trying to watch or play or anything. That's why if I'm buying something, I usually don't even read the reviews because as soon as I see people like, oh, this is terrible, blah, 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 then I'm just like, I don't know now. I don't know if I want to watch this or if I, that it always ruins it for me. So... Mm-hmm. The moral of my argument of this is that I think that it gets too toxic once people are ruining it for others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that brings a point that I want to bring up is I find a big issue with fandoms is the people who try and safeguard the fandom. Like they're the gatekeeper trying to see who should be in the fandom and who shouldn't be in the fandom. Like
telling you who or who should not be watching this or I completely.
Yeah, you get that a lot with games, especially games that involve skill.
Yes.
Because you get a lot of toxicity. A lot of people lately have been complaining about the Cuphead because Cuphead just came out. Some people have been complaining about Cuphead fandom because a lot of them are really try hard gamers that are like Cuphead right now.
It's a difficult game.
So they're some of them have been kind of bullying around people who aren't as good as the game, but just kind of like it, saying like, "Oh, well, you just don't appreciate. You shouldn't be here because you're not good enough to be there." Like I just hate that, especially sometimes with shows too. Like, "Oh, you didn't come in on the ground floor on this." So that hipster mentality of it.
Or I've been calling them meta heads.
Oh,
it's kind of my new term.
Spicy.
Yeah. Well, no, because like a good comparison is like Dota 2 is a game that always change, or games like that always change its meta. Or like League of Legends, it's got the gameplay, what you should be doing, what you should be playing, or even if any show or anything like that, what you should be doing in this time. And the people that direct that and facilitate that are the worst. The ones that say, if you're not doing it in this certain way, you're awful. Mm-hmm. Like
for me with Dota, I was told that a lot, and it really made me not want to play Dota.
Yes.
So it ruined a game that I might have gotten into, since I'm not like a huge MOBA fan. That was one of the few that I played.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurt me from trying more and getting in there, because I'm just like, it's not worth it. I think
all of us can agree. If you go into a game, I go into a game to have fun. Not to, I mean, yeah, I'm competitive in a lot of games, but like I still try and have a fun time. But as soon as someone that's competitive and super serious tries to play with me, and they ruin my mood, and it ruins everything about the game, and my experience is gone. Mm-hmm. Like I just can't. I don't have the motivation to play anymore. So I was like, well, I guess if I'm not with it, whatever. Oh well. And then I get sad.
Mm-hmm. And to bring it back to the cartoons with Rick and Morty, I feel the gatekeeper folks tend to fall more on that kind of stereotypical side of what I mentioned earlier about what people perceive the Rick and Morty fans as, just like kind of like the Redditor, you're not smart enough.
Yeah.
I am truly smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the people that really like hurt the fans, because the people that harass the writer are probably the same ones that are trying to gatekeep the show against people they feel shouldn't be a part of it, which I guess in this case is women. Mm-hmm. Which is stupid, because a woman wrote the Pickle Rick episode, which everyone shouts incessantly.
Pickle Rick!
Pickle Rick. That also has probably been annoying people, because it's just a dumb phrase that's being yelled at ad nauseum.
Listen, I'll just say it when I wake up in the middle of my sleep.
I mentioned before, I was never a big fan of the Tiny Rick joke from the previous year.
You enjoyed Pickle Rick.
I enjoyed Pickle Rick a little bit more, but I still don't like it as much as other Rick and Morty jokes.
Yeah.
I didn't, though, before anyone in the comments calls me on it, yes, I did use Pickle Rick as the thumbnail for the previous podcast on YouTube.
It's a great picture.
Well, it's a great one. Also, I mean, honestly, people keep shouting Pickle Rick, so I guess if I put Pickle Rick in the thumbnail, they'll be more likely to click it.
Are you saying you're trying to do clickbait?
I am trying to do clickbait here.
At least are you steeping to the levels of BuzzFeed?
Here are 19 reasons why I'm doing clickbait. Number 7 will shock you.
It's on page 3.
On page 3.
Yeah.
I click through all the ads.
Oh my god. It's not even that...
Clickbait's pretty bad. Well, I don't like clickbait if it lies to you. Like, because the clickbait we did there, we did discuss Pickle Rick in the episode.
Well, you know, some people do unintentional clickbait, though. Like, they'll do a title of a video, it's like, oh, we gotta make a big change, and it's like, sad face. And then you go and watch the video, like, say if you're watching a vlogger, and then they just say that. And then at the end of it, it's just like, oh, we changed our toilet paper. Something stupid. Like, they're still doing a change, but it's not like it's that dramatic.
I feel it's like kind of like that's a little bit misleading of a change.
Yeah, yes.
I see like Game Theory do that a lot on some of their thumbnails. They kind of do the bait and switch.
Yep.
Some other ones do it. I mean, if you have an interesting topic to talk about and you want to, and you say that interesting topic in the thumbnail that people would want to click on, I'm cool with that. I just don't like misleading. Cause you get mad when you get misled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if it could just be accurate about the actual topic at hand, that'd be great.
Speaking of accuracy, are you ready? Are you two ready?
Mm-hmm. As ready as I'll ever be.
I got something in store.
All right.
Unless you got anything else to add.
I have to ask one more question about the Cancerous fandoms. So I just wanted to ask, how far would a fandom need to go to ruin the actual show itself, to make you not enjoy the show? Or is there not that for you, since you separate the show and the fandom?
I think my main answer with that was as far as shows go, I can kind of tune it out. I kind of enjoy things in my own way, and as long as I just ignore everything from the get-go, it doesn't bother me. As far as video games are concerned, like I said, like you agreed with me with Dota, as soon as someone claims that I'm doing something wrong, ruins it completely. I cannot enjoy a game if everyone's judging my every move and everything I do. Even if I'm having fun doing it, but someone's judging me for it, then it's wrong. I'm ruined. I can't. That's just my opinion on that.
Sean, you got
similar?
Yeah.
Like with shows, you can just tune it out. You can just close the web page on your browser. Like I can get off r/the Grand Tour whenever I want.
Yeah.
But I can just watch the show and it doesn't really need to be a part of my life. But with video games, there's definitely an aspect there that it would change the way I thought about the game.
For me, I can separate the show, because unless like the actual scandal is with the creator of the show, like then I don't really judge the show. There have been a couple times though where the fandoms for shows have been just absolutely awful. Like they've gone so far beyond just being like a cringy group of people, just being awful. The big one for me, the closest that came to killing a show for me, like making me want to watch it, is the Steven Universe fandom. Because a good portion of it bullied a artist to the point of almost committing suicide, because she was drawing the heavyset characters in the show as being thin.
Oh.
Like they tormented her to that. I know some fandoms, they've doxed people, and just anyone who doxes anyone is just absolute scum. Like I won't say that Steven Universe is a bad show because of that. Because again, I've not really given Steven Universe much of a chance. I've only watched one episode, and I've been told it was a weaker episode of the series.
Yeah.
And also, these people do not have any say in the show. These are just people who like it. But it would definitely hurt my interaction with the community. Like I wouldn't want to interact with Steven Universe fans after that incident.
Which makes it hard for you to get involved with it from the get-go.
Yeah, I'd end up being just in my own little bubble about Steven Universe, and it'd be hard to kind of communicate. Cause I'm like, do I really want to get... Like, I'm an artist as well. Do I want to draw Steven Universe fan art now, knowing that this is what they do to fan artists that don't do exactly what they want?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like... So, it doesn't hurt the show. Like, I'm not avoiding Steven Universe because of this fandom. It's mostly because of time. I don't really have enough time to watch it. But, it would definitely... Like, I don't think I really want to interact with Steven Universe fans after seeing incidents like that. And I know it's just a small community of it, but it's hard. It really hurts them. It really hurts you. I feel the same way about NASCAR. Well, I like NASCAR. Fans, god awful. If I wasn't a NASCAR fan already, I would be a sad boy and not want to talk to anyone about NASCAR.
It's true. It's very true.
So that's the end of our sad topic of why fandoms are bad and why you should just keep to yourself and not talk to anyone.
Now we're gonna do a fun segment.
Yeah, we've got a fun segment. It's our first segment on the show.
Yeah,
we're pretty jazzed. Tyler is the master of trivia. That's why his name starts with a T.
It's trivia time with Tyler. So essentially, every time we have a third person on the show, we're probably going to do a fun little... Depending on the topics we're talking about, we'll just do a fun little thing. So I got 10 questions here. Essentially, first one to answer. I don't know if you want to use something to make a noise, or you could just go ding. Whatever you want. Or
should we use that tambourine over there?
You could use a tambourine, or it's just first one to spit the answer out. If you want to just be first one to spit the answer out,
want to spit some fire, John?
Part of me wants that tambourine over here. Gimme.
Oh, right. God.
All right,
so loud.
I'll like smack the table.
That's fine. Whatever you gotta...
Well, here, how about this? We put it over here.
Collapse the table.
You're not going to collapse my table. That's not going to happen, so...
Okay.
So, we just kind of... So, I guess I'll hold it here. And then if we're going to hit it, let's just see if it works.
That's fine.
Alright.
That is fine. I'm just gonna have to see you do it anyways. It's the same. All right.
But it's funny because you get to hear a nice little ding.
Yeah, no.
Little jingle. You hear this? You hear this? You like it?
Maybe we should get a dinger.
This is a nice ASMR of a nice tambourine ding.
Oh, God.
Good night, everybody.
Get out of here. All right. So, John is ready as he's gonna...
Hey, I need to hit this buzzer.
Well, so this is all video game related trivia. They're not...
But video games are for nerds.
They're not, like, very, very detailed ones. Like, you don't have to know the in-depth... They're pretty generalized.
Well, you're not going to ask me about level 22 of Brutal Legend?
No.
What was the rock texture color?
No. They're pretty generalized. First one to answer, you'll get your answer. If you're wrong, the other person gets one attempt at the answer. It's pretty standard.
All right.
You get a point for everyone you get right. So we'll start off with the first one. How many rows of aliens are there usually at the start of Space Invaders?
Let's see, rows. Do.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the obvious answer, 1.
No. Nope. You got one answer.
I'm juggling between two numbers. I'm gonna lowball it. 5.
You are correct. John gets the first point.
Yo, I almost said 7. I almost kicked myself. Yeah, they don't have that processing power.
There's 5 rows. You got the blue, yellow, pink, red, and then you have the main ship at the top. I'm pretty sure that's the 5.
All right.
Rows. All right, we'll go on to the next second question here. What fictional English archaeologist is in the game Tomb Raider? What is the character's name?
Lara Croft.
Yep, that is correct.
I said it right, too. It's not Laura.
All right. So, John, you got 2 points already. We're going to move on to the third question. Here it is. The Covenant are a fictional military alien race in which game series?
Halo?
Boom, he got it.
I was second guessing myself.
All right.
I'm
So we got a 2-1 here.
You never played that?
You still got it, though.
That was just a guess. Yeah, maybe move that drink. You want to knock that over? Maybe just put that... Yeah, on my book, okay.
All right, here's question number 4. Jumpman's goal is to save the lady from this giant ape.
Donkey Kong.
Correct.
I'm pulling into the lead here.
Yeah, you got the lead.
I'm getting a little bit of a lead.
3-1. All right, here's the next one. How many square blocks are in each game piece of Tetris?
5.
Nope.
4.
Correct. John is pulling in the lead. 4-1.
They're squares. What am I doing? There's literally a square.
Alright, so we're on to the question 6 here. What 1984 NES game was themed around motocross?
Excite Bike.
Correct. John is up 5.
They don't got video games up in Canada. That's your downfall.
is in the lead 5-1. It is I think you might be able to tie it. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. If you get all of them right, it'll be a tie. I believe in you, Sean.
If not, then I am the supreme champion.
I believe in me too.
Here we go. Question number 7. What year was the N64 released?
Let's go 93.
No, it is not 93.
96?
You are correct, John.
Oh man, that was a guess.
Fire.
That was a guess.
All right, here we go. Question number 8. Developer of the Halo series and Destiny.
Bungie.
Correct.
I have no social life.
All right, this one's a little obscure.
Question 9.
Question number 9. What was the creator of Pac-Man eating when he was inspired?
Goji balls.
Goji balls? No.
Mm-hmm.
John?
Cherries?
No, it was not cherries. It was actually pizza, because when he took his first slice out, he thought of Pac-Man.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That's a fun little fact.
I learned a little thing here. I learned a little thing.
I like that a lot.
No points on the board that time.
No,
I feel good about myself.
My last question's here in the back. Let's see.
Did you plan out your space good there?
No. All right, this one's okay. Here's the last question.
All right.
New Leaf was the subtitle for a game in what popular Nintendo simulation series?
Animal Crossing.
Bing, ding, ding, ding. I don't know why I said bing, ding. But
Bing, ding.
Bing, ding, ding, ding.
Bada bing, bada ding.
All right, so John is the winner of our first trivia segment.
Yay, I'm better than all of you. I'll shake your hand.
The final
Good
score
sir.
is 8-1. Good job, Sean.
I did.
Give me a round of applause here. You can shake that tambourine.
Yeah, shake that tambourine.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
So that's a good time.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah.
This is gonna wind down our podcast. We're about done here today. I want to thank Sean Angel for coming all the way out here to be on our podcast. Sean, do you have anything you want to plug?
I want to plug Hark, my offline league. It's got a Discord. We do some fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
John's a part of it.
Yeah, that's HARC,
Yes,
Hark.
HARC.
Hamilton, what does that stand for exactly again?
Hamilton Area Racing Cup. It's not really that anymore, but it was at one point.
Mm-hmm. And it is on YouTube, correct?
It is.
What's the channel?
You can subscribe to me at The Ottoman Empire. That's the AUTOMAN Empire. Nice little pun there.
Yours is one of my favorite YouTube channel names, by the way.
That's actually
the first time I saw that, I'm just like, that clever bastard. Like, man, I wish I thought of that.
Thanks. And John also does some videos for it. He can be found at Utica Home Track Series.
Yep, Utica Home Track Series on YouTube as well. I do all of the race 1s. He does all the race 2s. We split them up. So it's a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, you have anything to want to plug this week?
My name's Tyler, and that's all that matters.
All right. And me, John, I've run this channel, of course, the Cittiverse. If you like what you saw here today, hit us up with a subscription and follow our podcast. If you find us on another channel other than YouTube, we might upload this to another podcast channel. Subscribe to us there. Me personally, other than this, I'm an artist. I do stuff under the Cittiverse on DeviantArt, especially a fan comic for Yandere Simulator called Dank Midori. It's about weed and anime. It's a fun romp, a good time. Other than that, yeah, that's about what I've been doing as of late. So thank you all for viewing this edition of the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you all have a good time out there, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya. This is a rare Canadian.
Oh, God, a rare Canadian.
Yeah, I'm the only one, actually.
I've
Minister.
Wow.
I've never seen a Canadian before.
Wow.
Yeah.
How droll. Reginald, take a picture. Oh, how lovely.
Yay.
This is Sean talking. This is Sean chalking.
Sean Chucking.
Yo, he's doing that old Sean chalking.
Yeah.
Oh, up north, we real love to chalk up a storm. Why the ground's so whitey.